Let's get cracking with tonight's installment. Let's start off with the selections that were made by the two coaches in this game. So it was Zambia versus Uganda in the second game of Group B, where Zambia went for a 4-4-2 in orange and Uganda went for a 4-1-4-1 formation in that game. So for Zambia, the team news, let's deal with it, shall we? Back four of Kapumbu wearing shirt number 20, Adrian Chama number 4, Zio Tembo number 19, and Silwimba the right back. And in central midfield, we had shirt number 15, Donashano Malama, partnered by Kondwani Mtonga. Then at top, we had the strike combination of Lazarus Kambole and Alex Bazongonga. And in the wide areas, we had shirt number 17, Augustin Mlenga with Ernest Mbewe. Now, for that game, that was probably the multi-million-dollar question going into that game. But yes, where we have a lot of questions and a lot of analysis to do is right there. That central midfield combination of Kondwani Mtonga and Donashano Malama, more so that it was a 4-4-2, Dennis.
Yeah, obviously, a lot of questions were there to be asked. Being the reason being that we had two holding midfielders and we had two strikers, meaning we had no creative midfielders to be the link between the midfield and the attacking force.
Were you a little bit surprised, Vesper, to see that? Because that was actually part of our thinking and thoughts. That and again, what didn't help matters was Ngwenya was injured and unavailable for the first game.
Yeah, it's a surprise. If you look at of late how Zambia we've been playing, we've changed I think a lot of systems, and if you look at the system we are using now at a tournament, which is there today, and we can see that yes, the system has changed, and the 4-4-2. Which looks like some of the players are failing to understand it, because if you look at our midfield, they were almost in the same line, and our strikers, like if you look at the number 10 and number 9, almost in the same line, which is difficult sometimes also to collect balls from the midfield and try to attack. And most of the times you could see we were trying to maybe where there is a ball, everyone wants to go there. You never know, sometimes these players, they also try to put trying to put themselves on a map to say, I also want to be seen, that maybe there are scouts to pick me. Maybe one day I can play to a team which is maybe higher than their teams where they play from. Zite. But if you look at that system, Zite, I think we have to do a lot of it to say that at least it's working.
Okay, so talking about understanding and adapting to the system, let's go to the match day intricacies, shall we? Let's look at Uganda's attacking pattern, because in the first half you will notice that Uganda actually had a lot of ball possession, and this was what was happening, gentlemen. Uganda were creating a situation where we had 10 men practically in our own half, and that's if we withdraw and we decide not to press. So their centre backs could come as far as the centre circle, but that back four and the shirt number 22, Luanga, was the man that was able to collect in the middle and spread wide, and of course the wide options, the fullbacks were always there. More so that Uganda were becoming 3 in central midfield compared to our 2. So to offset that, we had a situation where both Kambole, the shirt number 5, and Alex Bazongonga would actually drop in the same line and actually maintain that access and make it 4v3. But that didn't stop Uganda from progressing the attack.
Yeah, I thought Uganda in possession, they were quick. We were always second on the ball. If you saw the number 22 is coming with the ball, the time that Kambole wants to go in, that guy was already in control of the ball. He would see where to take the ball. Play a 1-2, we are short. Sometimes we were 4 against 3, but you'll find that we are Uganda have 3 midfielders in the midfield and we have 2. So most of the times they were outnumbering us, especially in the midfield.
Okay, let's just look at that one in a deeper perspective, Vespa. You have that situation where you've got practically 10 players in their own half, our strikers as well, and we usually talk about, no, we want the number 10 to drop and become the third man in midfield. But in this case, we had both of them dropping, making 4 in midfield, but of course, nobody up top to hold the attack.
Yeah, Zite, if you look at our playing, especially when it comes to defending, you find that we still have some defenders who are not even crossing some of the lines which are there, Zite, and allowing our opponents also to have enough rooms when they get the ball. You find that it's easy for them to get us into our area, Zite. And if for that, I think we should also try to change, because if you look at also the way our wingers are operating, compared to even our opponents, you could see even our opponents, the way they were trying to attack using their wings, which was too different to ours.
Okay, let's further study Uganda's attacking paradigm and framework by looking at Uganda's play-out system. So it was the Cranes taking on the Chipolopolo, and of course, Uganda enjoyed a lot of ball possession in the first half, and let's address that question. The answer is why. And here's the answer. It lies in Uganda's player system. First off, you have their goalkeeper number 1, who is a good ball player, but generally when they have the ball there, look at that line of pass. Once the shirt number 21 is on the ball, he's got one option to the left, he's got one forward option, the defensive midfielder Luanga, the number 22, and of course he's got number 4 to actually give the ball to, and wherever it goes you have 2-3 options to actually pass. But also look at the numbers on how Uganda populating certain areas and how Zambia is populating and aligning itself in defense. In the Ugandan half, on average, you'd have only 2 Zambian players. That's Alex Bazo, the number 10, and number 5, Lazarus Kambole, and everybody basically retreats. And that gives Uganda the space to play and go behind the 2 strikers, get into midfield, progress and continue that superiority, because they keep eliminating the Zambian players until they get to the final third, Dennis.
Yeah, I think they were very comfortable, because you see, the time that we wanted to go and press the ball, they were already in control. Instead of pressing them from their own half, we were all retreating, leaving two strikers, and they were very, very, very good in their build-up, especially that their goalkeeper was also involved. Whenever they had the ball, Bazo would chase this side, they would just play him a 1-2, get into midfield where there was only Kondwani and Donashano, which was easy for them to play against 3 against 2 and take the ball into the wings, which was becoming very, very dangerous, especially in the first half.
Now, I want to ask a fundamental question. If we let's look at Uganda's play-out system once more and just pencil down this question, because it becomes very important for what we're about to discuss. Now, Vespa, look at that. 8 of Zambia's players retreat into their own half, and the 2 strikers are pressing or trying to win the ball back. That creates that space, and we are fragmenting in that part of the pitch, and Uganda enjoys superiority in terms of control and numbers as they move to different parts of the pitch. First off, I want to ask, Lazarus Kambole and Alex Ngonga, at that point, were they taught to harass and press and everyone retreat so that we create that space? Why were we doing that, in your opinion?
Yeah, it was confusing, especially when we are defending. You look at ourselves. I was also trying to ask myself that is it that our goalkeeper is not an attacking keeper, or or is a player who is always on his line. But we need also our keeper to push his defenders so that at least he can have enough room for him to at least maybe try to have space for the midfielders to be moving forward. If you saw our midfielders, they were always on the same position, which made our strikers to draw back in the deep to come and defend. I don't know what type of a system which allows the strikers to come deep and defend. When we win the ball, we still need them to help us in attack. But if you look at our team, most of the time when we defend, you find that all the players are in the, almost the third line, which is difficult for us again when we are into attack. We were not playing like a passing game. We would also want to hit the ball.
But I'm just thinking, Dennis, at that point, how does 9 and 10 press and the rest are not doing?
That was the thing. I think,
and that was the tell for the whole half.
For the whole half, yes, that was the problem that we had. Again, I was just thinking, watching the game, you see, the defenders, they were too much in a hurry to put that ball up front. In the process, they were making bad passes. Long pass lands to a Ugandan player. They start the ball, hence forcing our two top strikers to drop down, maybe to go and try and get the ball from our own half. Meaning now we're giving them too much room, inviting them to come on us.
But basically, in terms of pressing, the question is, you have your two strikers pressing, the midfield is retreating, the defense line is retreating, and that space right there. So what was the plan right there? Was ideally if Lazarus and Alex begin to press, the midfield is supposed to come and close and stop Uganda from actually progressing their move.
Yeah,
but that's not what we're doing.
Yeah, actually that's what is supposed to happen. When one is harassing, the others are coming to come and support. Because imagine the way they were pressing, the two of them, even if they win the ball against 7, 8 Ugandans, they were going nowhere. They win the ball, still the Ugandans will win back the ball.
Let's just discuss Zambia's interceptions in this game, just to further talk about how our game was, because we've discussed Uganda's attacking pattern and what they were trying to do. But in the first half, where you have the conventional balls and where you have the straight balls, was basically the interceptions in the second half. Of course, in the second half, we got better because, again, I don't know whether it was tiring or fatigue, but we found ourselves in a situation where Donashano Malama, who now reverted to play the number 6 role, and Kondwani became the 8, began to win those balls higher up the pitch. But generally, the tale of the first half is that when we terminated the Uganda moves, it was basically in the final third. We hardly won the ball in midfield. And do you think that map of interceptions right there, one words on your end and say, yes, we won, but I didn't like that. We're flirting with danger, Vespa.
Yes, Zite, I think the coach should sit down, I think, with his players and we go back to the drawing board. Yes, we won the game, but if you look at the way our defending was not very good, that even when we meet teams which are very good, especially when on shooting. I think if you look at this team we played with, they had everything. They could play good passes, and I think they were lacking just the finishing, which had no power. And I think you've seen shots which our keeper was just maybe getting them as weak shots. But if we can pull up our socks, especially in the midfield, where we could see only Danushano Malama in the second half winning most of the balls there. But for us again to move forward, for someone to support him and maybe try to play a double pass to move forward was difficult for us.
Yeah, if you look at that map of intercept, and more so that you were a defender.
Yes.
When you are winning, you are the one who's having to break up play. Your midfielders are being beaten. Everyone, it's like you, the defenders, are the ones that are rescuing.
It's it's very dangerous in the area that Zambia were winning the balls in the final third. Very, very dangerous because there anything can happen. Try to win the ball at least in the midfield in the second phase. You win the ball there, much better. But where we were winning the ball from, that was very dangerous. And I was thinking, if Uganda were that sharp, like the way I saw Morocco playing, even in Libya today, I think they would do you bad.
Okay, so that is the situation. Let's talk about the victors, Zambia, and let's just have a look at Zambia in attack and begin to study how we're constructing our attacks. Now, gentlemen, it was a tough half. We barely had a lot of attack construction in that game. But here's what happened basically for us to actually get our first goal. Alex, of course, was deep in midfield, center circle area, receives that ball and plays it into that space where NS Mbewe runs, and of course the jersey number 5 Kambole runs into the 18 and actually taps home from that cutback from NS Mbewe. But it just shows you that we were constructing mainly direct attacks, and I'm just thinking, did we respect Uganda so much that we ended up playing on a counter, Dennis?
No, I think the thing was on the link between the strikers and the midfield. We had no link. No wonder Bazo had to come down, try to come and collect the ball from the midfield, because all the two midfielders were going short to go and look for the ball, but there was no that link, someone to behind them to get the ball and feed it to the strikers. Bazo had to come down, collect the ball and put it into space. But if we had someone, a creative player there, like we have Rally Warrior is there, Wenya. If we have a player like that, I think it can be easy. Someone to link.
But did we need a link in this game?
Yeah, Zite, I think.
Especially if you want to play on the counter.
Of course, yes, because if we are talking about building the team, I think we need serious players, Zite, who have at least the heart of maybe even getting goals from the midfield. But if you look at our midfielders, we were using on this game, yes, they are okay, but are they that good that they can also get the ball from defenders, run also into attack and try to also maybe give our strikers number 9 and 10 to shoot on goals. But most of the things we saw was even the team we beat, they had mistakes. Yes, mistakes are there, yes, in football, but if we look at our attacking Zite, I think we need to change some of the things.
Okay, so what we do, the multi-million-dollar question is, do we need links? Do we need traditional number 8s and number 10s, those players, to play in central midfield and in the hole and probably give the team thrust and dynamic attacking potency in that respect? And yes, in that game, perhaps because we're playing a little bit direct, it brings us to that question, gentlemen. Do we need them? Did we need them? Can we do without them? Because we've been talking about number 8 for a long time. And right now, this is Chan. We don't have Enoch Mwepu. So, yes, we are back at that little square again. Does Wada, does he have a number 8 at his disposal? Or there's nothing in the league? And so he has to adapt his tactics based on what he has.
Well, I should think he adopted this thing based on what he had. Because I understand John Chingandu is injured. John Chingandu can play as a link. Godfrey Ngwenya was also not available. No wonder maybe we had to change the system to 4-4-2. No link, no one linking between the defense and the striking force.
But this is the question I ask. If you look at our league, teams 1 to 20, how many good links do we have? And how many teams play with the need of actually a link needing to shine? Because you can have a link, but if you are not using him, you will not see how good he is, Vespa.
Yeah, it's not even working, Zite, for us. If you've seen of late with our national team, I think when we have certain players, we know that if these players are there, we know that it will work if we use this system. But for the 4-4-2, which I think he is comfortable with, and I think we will be using that system with our coach Zite. But of course, yes, the system is there, which him is comfortable with. But we also look at which players are comfortable with this system, which is also trying to delay us when it comes to marking, whereby you find our 9 and 10 are dropping deep, whereby you find that if we get the ball, we still need them to go and attack, looking at the distance where they are and where the goal is. You find that they are easily getting tired. And for us, yes, we need someone, Zite, who can be getting the balls, even from defenders. Try to play double passes, and maybe he can.
But is it something that's important to us in Zambian football?
Because
this is a chance squad. So Warden gets players from the league.
Yeah,
is it important?
I think if I can remember one of the programs, I think we were talking about the links. I think we talk about this player from Burundi, the Zesco
Sabumkam.
Yeah, we mentioned him as I think if he's not the best links in Zambia or one of the best links. Look at how the under-20s did. They played very well because of the league. Mwepu, they had Mwepu. There was Emmanuel Banda. You see, but at senior level, I think we are struggling to find who can play as a link in the league.
So we do away with it in our tactics. No links. There.
I think we should look for a link, because modern football, a link is very, very important.
We have a lot of players, Zite, so we need at least to get someone who can be linking between the strikers and the midfielders. Yes, we'll talk about teams we've watched maybe from Europe. We'll be giving them as examples because we see them doing that, Zite, whereby you can see, for example, Fabregas can move from the midfield and even try to score. But if you ask about our midfielders, what are they doing? Are they just trying to mark and maybe just supply from maybe from a distance to say whatever will happen to him even if I give him the ball? Because there's no support, Zite. Yes, we are winning, but we should see the winning pattern of our team, that we are playing good football, Zite.
It's a big debate. It's a big debate. But let's just have a look at Uganda's interceptions after discussing Zambia's attack and how we're constructing our attacks. You see something is that Uganda, most of the times, especially in the first half, you can see they only intercepted us twice in the final third and in the 18 to be specific. But most of the times they were just winning those balls in midfield and just on the edge of the box. And the reason right there is that once our players have the ball, they would actually hook the ball forward. And what we want to look at in that respect is that the effects of Uganda's medium press. Maybe if we can just look at the effects of Uganda's medium press, it begins to tell us a story about what we're doing. So here's what happens in reverse for those interceptions that were made in that midfield area and just on the edge of the Ugandan box. is that Uganda were employing a medium press. So you had Donashano Malama being marked by one of the central midfielders for Uganda, the shirt number 17 there. And you'd have the back four who were given license to play and exchange passes square. But once they just get into that area where they were hoping to get Donashano Malama to link play from midfield into the next line and take it into Alex Bazongonga and Lazarus Kambole, you had a sticky problem there. So you have your number 6 eliminated, your anchorman. Your number 8 has already been taken by their anchorman, the shirt number 22, Luanga, and you've got, of course, not available to receive a direct pass to feed Augustine Mlenga, number 17 there, and Ernest Mbewe. So no option right there but to hook. So it's actually a deeper problem. At that point, what the two central midfield players, or even Ernest and Augustine, what are they guilty of? Not coming to collect, or the defenders are not giving them the opportunity to come and collect and link the play?
No, I think you look at the way Augustine and Ernest were playing. When we start the ball at the back, they will stay wide, out wide. And what Uganda were doing was just to have someone stand on Donashano Malama. Donashano had no chance to get the ball. And what next for Zio? Pump that ball up. 4 against 1, we couldn't play out. That was the problem that I saw, the one we were making, especially when we are building up. Instead of playing out like the way Uganda were doing, we were pumping the ball up all the time, and every time we pump it up, it will land on a Ugandan player and they start playing.
And we're losing the second ball because of that, Vespa.
Yes, of course, Zite. I don't think the ball which was coming from the defense and cleared was direct to say to land into Ngonga or maybe one of our strikers. But the ball was just being hit forward and to say we'll push. But we gave them a lot of chance because we could not pass to each other, but it forced the ball into their area.
All right, so from a neutral's perspective, you probably need to look at the Ugandan team and see what they were doing in transition. Once they win the ball back, they actually put it down and begin to string passes forward and forming lines of pass until they get to the Zambian final third. To that end, they were playing with a lot of width, and Karisa was one of the most important players for Uganda. Let's just have a look at the cross map for Uganda, because they were playing with a lot of width, and especially on the right-hand side where the shirt number 23, Karisa was actually a menace and also accounted for the assist that saw Uganda score the one and only goal that they scored. But just look at where most of the crosses for Uganda were coming from, in the wide areas. And yeah, seldom did they use the left-hand side of attack. But in the second half, they began to switch play a little bit more and got some balance there. They were able to put in 3 crosses from the left-hand side of attack. But there was a problem there. We didn't see a lot of Faxon Kapumbu going up except for set-piece opportunities. And the problem there was Karisa very good on the ball. And every time Faxon probably needed to think about going up and going forward, he needed to think about Karisa and what he could do in transition.
Yeah, Faxon was not given a chance to go up, because all the time he wanted to go up, Karisa was not following him. He was remaining in that gap because there was that pocket empty. No one was marking there, and every time Uganda won the ball, they were trying to find the same guy. So it became so difficult for Faxon to go up, because every time he went, the ball goes to Karisa. He had to start chasing, which became very, very difficult for him.
And by implication, that made Donashano Malama started playing cover, because as the game progressed, Donashano Malama became the substantive anchorman, and we saw him running across, trying to stop the Ugandans, especially when they switched play and they had some space to maneuver Vespa. It was a really tough shift in transition for Zambia.
Yeah, Zite, I think I've seen this not only with Uganda, but most of the games we've played, most of the teams, I think they are using that left wing back to attack I'm sure they've seen something which is giving them more hope that if we use this wing, which is they always, at least when they use it, they get something out of it. I think we should also try to work on our defenders, especially the left wing, because most of the time you find that is the one also who is taking the throw-ins, free kicks, and the corner kicks. But if you look at these teams we've played with, they are also trying to use the same wing, which them they think that is being left vacant. Most of the time you could see they are attacking from there.
Okay, let's just have a look at the match statistics. So the most important statistic is that Zambia triumphed 3-1, and that sends us to the top of the table. Now, ball possession, you had 53% for Uganda compared to 47% for Zambia. Shots off target, you had a situation where Zambia got 5 compared to 10 for Uganda. In terms of shots on target, you had even-Steven situation where both teams had 2 apiece. Zambia committed 24 fouls compared to 14 for Uganda, and Zambia got 3 yellow cards compared to 2 for Uganda. There were no red cards in this game, and Zambia was caught offside 4 times. But in terms of those the fouls that we committed, Dennis, it shows the amount of chasing we had to do.
We committed so many fouls. I think when I saw the stats, I even started laughing. We committed so many fouls. Why? Because we were always second on the ball. We were always late. We let them play the ball. The time we wanted to go in and close, we were late. What do you do when you are late? You commit a foul.